and the grapes. In a big green forest, there lived a clever fox named Fred. Fred had red fur and a big bushy tail. He was very smart and could run very fast. Fred lived alone in a small den under a big tree. Every day, Fred would wake up early and go looking for food. He liked to eat small animals like mice and rabbits, but his favorite food was fruit. Fred loved all kinds of fruit, but he loved grapes the most. One hot summer day, Fred woke up feeling very hungry. He decided to go look for some food. He walked through the forest, looking for something to eat. He saw some berries, but they were too small. He saw some apples, but they were too high in the trees. Fred walked and walked. The sun was very hot, and he was getting tired. Suddenly, he smelled something sweet. It was the smell of grapes. Fred got very excited. He followed the smell through the trees. Soon, Fred came to a small hill. At the top of the hill, he saw a big grapevine. The vine was growing on a tall wooden fence. Fred's eyes got big when he saw the grapes. They were big and purple. They looked so juicy and sweet. Fred's mouth started to water. He thought, "Those grapes look so good. I must have them for my lunch." He ran up the hill as fast as he could. When Fred got to the fence, he looked up at the grapes. They were very high up. Fred stood on his back legs and tried to reach the grapes with his front paws, but the grapes were too high. He couldn't touch them. Fred didn't give up. He thought, "I am a clever fox. I can get those grapes." He took a few steps back. Then he ran and jumped as high as he could, but he still couldn't reach the grapes. Fred tried again and again. He jumped and jumped, but every time the grapes were just out of reach. Fred was getting tired and frustrated. He sat down to rest and think. While he was sitting, Fred saw a big rock nearby. He had an idea. He thought, "If I stand on that rock, I will be taller. Then I can reach the grapes." Fred pushed the rock to the fence. It was heavy, but he didn't give up. Fred climbed on top of the rock. Now he was much taller. He reached up with his paws, sure that he would get the grapes this time. But even standing on the rock, Fred couldn't reach the grapes. They were still too high. Fred was very upset. He was hot, tired, and hungrier than ever. He jumped down from the rock and looked up at the grapes again. They seemed to be laughing at him. Just then, Fred heard a noise. He turned around and saw a little bird sitting on a branch. The bird had been watching Fred try to get the grapes. The bird said, "Hello, Mr. Fox. Why are you jumping and climbing? What are you trying to do?" Fred felt embarrassed. He didn't want to admit that he couldn't reach the grapes. So he said, "Oh, hello, little bird. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just exercising. Jumping is good for foxes, you know." The bird looked confused. It said, "But I saw you trying to reach those grapes. They look very tasty. Do you want some help to get them?" Fred's face got hot. He didn't want help from a small bird. He said, "No, no, I don't want those grapes. I bet they are sour anyway. I don't like sour grapes." The bird was surprised. It said, But how do you know they are sour if you haven't tasted them? Fred didn't know what to say. He just said, I know because I'm a fox, and foxes know these things. Those grapes are probably full of seeds and not sweet at all. I don't want them. The bird shook its head and flew away. Fred watched it go, feeling silly and angry. Fred started to walk home. He was still hungry, but now he was also sad. He knew he had lied about the grapes. Deep down, he still wanted them very much. On his way home, Fred passed by a small farm. He saw some chickens in a yard. The chickens were eating corn on the ground. Fred was so hungry that he decided to try and catch a chicken. Fred crept closer to the chickens. He was about to jump when he heard a loud bark. There was a big dog guarding the chickens. Fred got scared and ran away as fast as he could. Fred ran all the way back to his den. He was tired, hungry, and upset. He lay down in his den and thought about his day. He realized that he had made many mistakes. First, he had tried too hard to get something he couldn't have. Then he had lied about not wanting the grapes. Finally, he had tried to steal a chicken because he was too proud to look for easier food. Fred decided to learn from this day. He thought, tomorrow I will look for food that I can really get. I will be honest about what I want, and I will not be too proud to ask for help if I need it. The next day, Fred woke up and went to look for food again. This time he found some nice berries that he could reach easily. He also found some nuts on the ground. It wasn't as exciting as grapes, but it was good food that made him feel full. As he was eating, Fred saw the little bird again. The bird said, "Hello, Mr. Fox. Did you find some good food today?" Fred smiled and said, "Yes, I did. And do you know what? These berries are much sweeter than any grapes could be. Would you like to share some with me?" The bird was happy to share the berries with Fred. From that day on, Fred learned to be happy with what he could have, to always tell the truth, and to be kind to others. And sometimes when he passed by the grapevine, he would smile and remember the lesson he had learned. The end.